I've been sitting there on the sidelines just watching consumerism. I've also been watching how people buy products, why they buy products, what works, what's the feedback. I mean, this is my day in and day out. I just knew that I had to go in equipped. So I usually equate it to a jungle, right? Like you're going into this jungle, you know it's super dangerous, you know, you may not get out alive. What are you gonna do? You're gonna go in there with the best Navy SEALs possible, right? Mm-hmm. You're gonna build this team and you're gonna go into this jungle. I never thought I would love the business side as much as I do.
You creating a product, whether you're creating a skincare line or anything else, what are some other things that you need to make sure you have in place to make sure that your product stands out amongst all the rest?
If I have to walk all the way around the block, then I gotta walk all the way around the block. I'm not gonna cut corners because it just never yields great results for anything. Not for clients, not for me, not for my family. It's always about the long game, and that's what you have to think of. Hard work, a sprinkle of luck, and good timing, and you have a great recipe for success. If your end goal is to make money, I don't believe you'll be as successful. If your end goal is to treat people exceptional, to produce amazing skin, and to do the next right thing, I believe you will make a lot of money.
Welcome to the Jen Gottlieb Show.
Amy!
Hi!
I'm ridiculously excited. And I've been asking you like little questions here and there back there, but I've really been saving all the good ones for right now.
I love that.
So when I moved to Miami or moved to Fort Lauderdale, I have a friend that does my eyebrows and she's an expert in all things beauty. And I was like, who's the skin person in Miami? Like, who do I go to? And she immediately said your name, like immediate, within 2.5 seconds, Amy Peterson, you need to go there.
I love that.
So I show up and I arrive at this stunning, like, gorgeous space, huge, and everybody there is above and beyond kind. It's like this business is running, and I'm like the type of person that looks at things as an entrepreneur as well, and I'm like, this is amazing. And you over-delivered above and beyond. My skin hasn't looked as good. I haven't felt as loved and cared for from somebody, and come to find out, not only are you so good at what you do, but you're also an incredible business person. And I've loved getting to know you, and that's why you're here.
Well, thank you. So. I've loved getting to know you. And yeah, I mean, skin is my thing. I don't know, everything about it, ever since I've been a little girl, I've absolutely been obsessed with it. And now I'm obsessed with the business side of it too, because that's where it's led me. So yeah, I'm excited to talk to you about all things skin.
Now, when you were, let's say in college, what did you think you were going to be when you grew up or when you got out? Was it skin? Was it there yet? Or what was your dream?
You know, when I was in college, I kind of thought I was going to do what everyone else did, which was business, like some type of business. This is really funny. I always tell my husband, I just wanted to catch cabs and have hot bags. Like that's what I pictured myself doing in some business capacity.
Wait, like Sex and the City?
Totally.
Okay,
this is what I thought, right?
Yes.
And so I knew that I wanted to do something, but it wasn't, I actually wasn't in college a very long time until I was in a really bad car accident. And it was actually it was about a month after I started. And then I took a pretty long break from college for recovery. And I was in the hospital for a while. And it's then when I decided I really wanted to do skin. And it was perfect timing because that was in 2002 when all of these, you know, skin wasn't just lotions and creams anymore. It was lasers. It was injectables. It was just kind of coming on the scene. And that's really when it changed. I always loved skin though. Even as a little girl, when everyone was buying like dolls and Barbies, I was kind of like, what creams, makeup, lotion? I've always been obsessed with how my skin looked. So
take me back a second because you glazed over this and I think this is an important moment. You go to college. You think, I'm going to study business because I want to be like Carrie Bradshaw from Sex and the City, and I want to, you know, just run around in New York City
correct.
Right. I feel like we've all had that dream in some way, shape, or form. I still have that dream, like, and I lived it for a little bit. I still want to be her. So you go and you get into this car accident, and does everything shift in that moment? Was that a pivotal moment?
Shifts.
So where were you before car accident with your mindset? I want to study business. I just want to be this regular girl, and then this happens, and then you're like, wait, there's something more for me.
Yeah, I think it's crazy that at 18 you go to college and you're expected to know what to do from the start. I think there's very few people that really know that, and I think it should be more of like an exploratory phase, but it's not like that, right? You have to decide a major or whatever. So I wasn't really sure. When I got into my car accident, everything kind of shifted for me because it made me kind of focus and gain perspective on what was really important. And, you know, I was left with 40 inches of scars all over my body. And obviously being 18, you are so hypercritical of the way you look at that point. I mean, everything is about your looks. And I was devastated. I went through a lot of post-traumatic stress disorder issues. I finally came to acceptance. And during that phase, I was in the hospital for a long time. I thought the nurses, the doctors were incredible. But at the end, I was fixed up, but I still didn't look like myself. And I really wasn't comfortable in my skin. And at that point, I shifted and really decided that I wanted to treat my scars. That was the first thing. It's like, how can I treat this scarring on my body, on my face to look better? And I started looking into aesthetics. I still went to college, but then I started going to aesthetic school at the same time in the evenings. And I kind of did both of them at the same time because I hate to say it, but it was like a fire that was lit under my ass. I think you have two paths you can go whenever something like that happens to you. And I think I chose the right path because it kind of bursted me onto like what my life is going to be like what I want to seize every moment. I want to seize every opportunity. I want to go, 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 go. I think sometimes, you know, those types of things can lead you into depression. And I've seen that with people too. That wasn't my experience, but it really, I don't know, it set me on a trajectory and I've like literally never looked back. Oftentimes I describe myself as a horse with blinders on. And I love that because, and it's an analogy that a lot of the girls that work for me, a lot of the people that I mentor, I think it's so important because there's so much going on around you. And I don't want to necessarily see that. I want to focus on what's ahead. So when you see a racehorse, like he's not focused on any other horses around him. He's really focused on what's in front of him and how can he get there. And if he doesn't get there the first time, he's gone there trying to get there the second time, the third time, like never giving up. So I love that horse blinders thing. The best way I can put it was when I was 22, I put blinders on and I just was like, let's go.
Let's go. And so you're in school during the day. You're going to school for skin at night. Not knowing which you're going to choose. You're like, I'm just going to keep going.
No.
Because I want to squeeze all the juice out of the lemon now.
Correct.
And so what ends up happening then?
So I actually walked into a tequila bar and I ended up meeting the love of my life in Maryland. And he was this handsome brain surgeon from Seattle.
Not bad.
Yeah, not bad. I know. I was like literally living Grey's Anatomy. And we dated long distance for a couple months and then he asked me to move to Seattle. And that was like a big deal, right? I'm like 22 years old. My mom's like, you only have known this guy 6 times. How can you do this? And I just knew. We're married we're together for 17 years today. So I did know. That was right. Yes.
Happy anniversary.
I know. Thank you. So I end up moving to Seattle. And one of the promises I made myself was, if you're going to take this leap of faith, if you're going to move, you have to do something in skin. And you're just not going to take no for an answer. And he knew this too. So I get to Seattle. I find out who the best plastic surgeon in Seattle is. And I go to him and I basically am trying to sell myself to get a job with him. And luckily enough, timing is everything. I believe, you know, there's hard work, a sprinkle of luck, and good timing, and you have a great recipe for success. He was looking for someone to run his whole non-invasive division. So we had an OR on site, and then we had a lot of different non-invasive treatments. So he hired me. I don't think he had a choice, but I wasn't going to leave. And I started running his practice, and that was in 2006. And there I learned, just so much. And I also learned so much about surgical procedures. I would be in the OR with him. My husband was in residency at the time, and I kind of put myself into my own residency of really understanding skin, knowing your why behind everything you do. You know, a lot of people don't know, but when someone buys a device, say you own a practice, you want to buy a device.
Explain what a device is really quick for people that have absolutely no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, so any laser, any ultrasound device, so like Fraxel, Clear and Brilliant, any of these treatments that you may have had, you want to acquire it for your practice. What they typically do is offer you a 1 or 2 day training, so 6 or 12 hours. Okay, so in 6 or 12 hours, you're expected to become an expert, right? And treat people. For me, that never felt good enough. So I always believe that when you're acquiring a device, you have to do a lot of homework on it. You have to really understand your why behind what you're doing. For instance, anyone can roll a laser over someone's face, but why are you doing it? What are you going after? What is the pre-treatment? What is the post-treatment? How can you make it the most effective treatment ever? I feel like there's a lot more. So I kind of saw this happening, and I would take really deep dives on it. And I got to know the devices that I was using really, really, really well. And then companies started noticing that I knew them really, 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 really well. And they could track your consumables. They could track, like, every device that you have has like a tip or has a card or has something. So the companies can track those things. So they basically approached me in Seattle after a couple years and said, like, how are you doing so many as a single provider? Like, what's your secrets? Can you teach us? And I started consulting, and then I started being a clinical educator. And then it kind of just kept happening. I will say I never said no to anything. Like, I never said no. I always was like, whatever opportunity. I think part of it was that my husband was working 120 hours a week, so I had a lot of time. Mm-hmm. But that's how I really started to learn these devices really well and become really intimate with the aesthetic, like the whole aesthetic arena, because it can be really confusing.
What do you think most practices are doing wrong with these devices? Because I know you got to go in and train a lot of these places. And I'm sure you went in and you saw things that you're like, whoa, no, you can't do that. So that people that are listening, if they're going to go get a laser for the first time and they go into a place that's like, you should definitely do this laser, and they see maybe something happening, like, could we save them a bad trip to a med spa right now by saying, if you see something like this going on, this shouldn't be happening. I've had to go into med spas and change this.
You know, I think you have to ask a lot of questions, and you need to have good answers. Like, why is this device good for my skin? Why is it not good for my skin? Whenever I'm doing a consultation with someone, I don't even tell them what's right or what they should be using at my practice. I tell them, look, even if you never do something here, by the way, for your skin, you shouldn't use this device, this device, this device. For instance, there's 6 different skin types, darker skin types, like a Fitzpatrick 5 or 6. The Fitzpatrick scale is determined based upon how your skin reacts in the sun, and your ethnicity, all of that. You shouldn't do an IPL laser. Like, you just shouldn't. So I think it's more just asking the right questions, getting the right education. I mean, I don't believe you should be going somewhere unless someone recommended you go there. I think that's the best sign of some place that's really, really good. There's a lot of marketing. There's a lot of paid marketing. I've seen devices that blow up, but they're not putting that money into the device. They're putting it into the marketing. I've seen devices that I don't think are the best, big celebrities endorsing it, and then it just starts to, gain a lot of traction. It's simple, but very complex as far as like all the different things that are out there. So it's kind of your job, I think, as the consumer to kind of weed through all that and have like a practitioner kind of help you. So asking a lot of questions, like, I love a consult and I'll be there for an hour talking to someone, but I know the answers to the questions because this is what I've done for 20 years. So
yeah. And for business owners listening, because there's, business owners that are also going to be consumers of this that are listening. When I went to my consultation with you, I'd never been to such an in-depth consultation with someone that cared so much. And it was not, I've been to some where it's like, oh yeah, you should do this and this, because I knew those were the 2 things that they had there.
Yeah.
And with you, and I think that this is important for all entrepreneurs to know, is that there's not one right or wrong way to do anything. It's actually specific to, and I've heard you say this before, the customer's why, and getting to the core of what is the customer's why. Why are they really here, and what problem are they really trying to solve? And how do I solve this problem with what I have here? And or if I don't have it here, how do I solve their problem? And that's what I felt when I came to your office, and that's why I stayed, because I was like, she genuinely cares about my problem, not just trying to like sell me something.
Totally. And like, what's good for you or what's good for your best friend may not be good for you. Like, how many times do people come in and say, my friend got so-and-so, but you're not so-and-so's skin. So I think it's really an individualized approach, which takes a lot of time. I will say that going back to Seattle, I remember once I was there and I was set up in this plastic surgeon's office, the one person I wanted to come out to see me was my mom. And I was like, I am going to give her the treatment of a lifetime. I mean, I want her to be so proud of me. I made this big move. I'm working at this great practice. And she came in and she got the treatment of a lifetime. She got the pre, the post, everything in between. And I remember for a moment saying, God, if I can do that for every single client, that's incredible. That's a winning business, right? If I can care as much about every single person. And that's what I do. I mean, it's very simple. It's like the girls hear me say it all the time. Treat everyone like your mom. And if it's not your mom, it's that person who you would want to be so proud. So it's kind of like it's a very simple formula, but that's how I care about all my clients. Like I truly do care. And can it be exhausting to be 120% the whole time? Yes. But if you're not willing to do that, then you shouldn't be in it.
And it trickles down to, you just said your girls, meaning your team that you have. Yeah. So let's skip to what you have now, because you have an amazing culture at your space. You get incredible results, but it's not easy to open up a brick and mortar business, especially in your industry, because it's very competitive. And tell me where that decision came from. You're like, okay, I've been doing this now and teaching all these people and educating, and I love it. Now I'm going to open up my own business. I don't think it happened that way.
No, well,
maybe.
Kind of. So I was in Seattle. My husband moved to Miami to take a fellowship here. And I stayed in Seattle for that whole year. That's how dedicated I was. And I did long distance. And then I got pregnant. And then I realized that my child needed a father and I needed to move to Miami. So I landed in Miami. My husband, I don't know a soul in sight. I left this beautiful practice that I had for 8 years that I absolutely loved. And I had a brand new baby. And I'm a worker. I mean, I've been my whole life. It's just in my blood. I'm just that person that wants to work. So about 6 months after I moved here, I called all the people up on the West Coast and I said, do you need trainers on the East Coast for the companies I worked for? And they said, absolutely. And I started, going 1 or 2 days a week, and I would start visiting offices in Miami and Florida and some other places, trying to stay on the East Coast. And in Miami, I just kind of kept going, and I didn't feel like it was the same vibe as I was used to in Seattle or California. And everyone kept telling me Miami's a saturated market. And that was like the fear. I was like, well, I don't know if it really needs it, or how am I going to stand out? That was like the fear that was holding me back. And then I went to this office one day and I saw someone doing something that was so not right with a specific device. And I went home and I turned to my husband and I said, I'm opening an office, and if all else fails, I'll have a ton of machines and I'll look beautiful forever. Are you okay with that?
Goosebumps everywhere.
And he said, yeah, go for it. So I said, I'm going to have 4 pillars that are really important to me. And it's where education, because I think it's the foundation, meets innovation. And then I'm going to try to do luxury and warmth. And I think that's really hard to nail. And then I actually started out of my house, if you can believe it. I had some devices already because I was training and I had bought them for myself. And people got to know that I was a trainer for these different companies. And then quickly led to renting space at another doctor's office. And then within 2 years, I was like, I'm ready to build, my dream office. I had a clientele. And so I was on Lenox and Sixteenth, and I saw this amazing space, and I walked into it, and I just knew I could make it happen. And it's funny because I only had one office to begin with. What you see now is all 3 of my offices combined. But I quickly grew from 1 office to 2 offices. And then in the last year and a half, I opened the 3rd office. But it wasn't an overnight success. And I think that's what a lot of people think sometimes. Like, I see people look at me and like, oh my God, look at, you walk in, look at this amazing office. I mean, I started with 1 device. I started with 1 office. I had a front desk girl. And I was like, okay, what do I need here? I just need me, these devices, and I need a front desk girl. Okay, and I got a front desk girl. And I hope she showed up for work. You know what I mean? And that's where you start. But I did something, you know what I mean? And now I have this incredible team, and you're right, culture is everything, right? So I want people to feel us the moment they walk into the door. And that's about your team, right? So it starts at the top, and practice what you preach. All very simple principles that I'm sure all of us have heard growing up. But yeah, it's been a wild ride. I never thought I would love the business side as much as I do, because it was always about the skin for me. But I really like seeing what else we can do, how we can grow this. I don't know that I have it all planned out necessarily. All I know is I know where I'm going, and I always say I'm just going to do the next right thing. Whew.
You're listening to The Jen Gottlieb Show.
Yes, I always tell people, don't compare your chapter 1 to somebody else's chapter 20. And there are people that are listening right now that are like, oh, I wish I could open my own business. But like, they would walk into a business like yours and be like, I can't even fathom how I could create something like this. But you started with one device, and what you're like, I got to get a girl behind the desk. And you just...
And I hope she shows up.
Exactly. And you do that. And nobody really sees the behind the scenes, the stuff that it really took to build where you are today. And like years from now, where you're going to be, like this will be a stepping stone. And I love that you also said, I'm still not really necessarily 100% clear about where I'm going. Because as entrepreneurs, we know we have to pivot every damn day.
Yeah.
But you have a vision, an overall vision of where you want to take this. And who knows, maybe it'll end up even better than you could have imagined right now, which I have a feeling it will.
Yeah.
So I do want to talk about actual skincare stuff that my audience would like to hear from me, because you always ask the questions and I always say, I'm like, get ready with me. I'm not going to talk about my skin or my makeup. We're talking about personal development and business. We will talk about that because I have you here. But I do want to talk to you really quick still about the business stuff when it comes to the product you're creating. And then we'll circle back to it again at the end, because I think that's what's next.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm super excited. A lot of people don't know, but I've been working on a product line for about 18 months. Most would also say, like, this is crazy. It's a super saturated market. I'm fully aware. But you know, even when I was building my practice, I knew what I was getting myself into. I just knew that I had to go in equipped. So I usually equate it to a jungle, right? Like, you're going into this jungle, you know it's super dangerous, you know, you may not get out alive. What are you going to do? You're going to go in there with the best Navy SEALs possible, right? Mm-hmm. You're going to build this team and you're going to go into this jungle. And I did that in a saturated aesthetics world. And now I'm doing it in probably a saturated consumer space with products. I've used my office and my years of experience. I've been sitting there on the sidelines just watching consumerism. I've also been watching how people buy products, why they buy products, what works, what's the feedback. I mean, this is my day in and day out. And I've decided to create my own product line. I think it's gonna crush it, because that's just horse blinders on and looking straight ahead. And it's called Lenox and Sixteenth. And it's where my office is. On the corner of Lenox and 16th. So we're launching in March. And the most fascinating thing about this all is I know aesthetics. And if you ask me, hey, can you consult on building a practice? Like, I'd be like, yeah, no problem with my eyes closed. I know I can do this. But when you're building a product line, it's a totally different beast. Mm-hmm. It's totally different. And I have learned so much from so many people. And it's actually like, it's this new level of excitement, because I think I'm like a constant student, but it's very different. It has its own challenges. I'm sure I haven't seen them all yet, but I'm really happy with where we're at with it, and I think it's gonna be one of those lines that, meaning, I remember back in, I guess, like 2000, when school teachers used to come in and be like, look, I really can't afford SkinCeuticals, but the CE Ferulic for $186, like, I have to have this in my life because it's so impactful. Like, when I was building this product line, I'm like, it has to be that for me. Mm-hmm. It has to be that important. Like, they have to miss it if they don't have it. If you forget it and you go on vacation, you're upset about it. Like, I'm not going to be okay with any product line that launches unless it's like that. And so we call it the CE ferulic effect back in, the 2000s. But I think we built something like that. I know we have, and I think it's super exciting that we're launching soon.
It's beyond so exciting. One thing that I do have to say is when I walked into your office, and you have a lot of products in that office. Like there are so many products that I was in product overwhelm.
Yeah.
And I was looking around as a consumer / entrepreneur thinking, how do all of these products end up here? And how do I choose that product over that product when they do the same thing? There's so many. And I know you just said it's a very saturated space. And what do you think, from a business standpoint, and then we'll go to like the actual like skincare standpoint. From a business standpoint, you creating a product, whether you're creating a skincare line or anything else, is other than making a freaking amazing product, which I know you're going to make, or you just said like it's the product that you can't live without. What are some other things that you need to make sure you have in place to make sure that your product stands out amongst all the rest?
I mean, people are going to reach for a product that also looks aesthetically beautiful. It's just like dating, right? Like you have to find the person attractive. Like you probably fall in love with them because of their insides and all the goodness that comes out, but it has to be aesthetically pleasing. I believe the outside packaging is as important as the inside. And then also like what trends are you hitting, or where is the world going? And then you need to be there. So you need to formulate from the beginning to be able to go into a lot of different places. Like maybe you want to do D2C to start. Maybe you want to go and none of this is saying what I'm doing specifically, but maybe you want to go into Sephora. What do you need to be Sephora clean? Maybe you want to go to Canada. What do you have to do for that? What ingredients, are not good anymore? Do you want pegs in them? Do you not? Do you want to use a fully recyclable plastic? What stabilizers do you want to use, to help to make sure your product doesn't de-emulsify? Like there's all these different things that you have to kind of sort out from the beginning.
I'm overwhelmed. Were you with all of these decisions, or are you just so in this that it's like, this is your next easy, like, yes, I already know that. I've dealt with so many products. This is a no, this is a yes for me because of all of your experience.
I mean, I take a deep dive when I bring on a product line. Like if you sent me your product line today, I would say I will get back to you in 6 to 12 weeks. And in those 6 to 12 weeks, I am like ripping it apart, pulling it apart. If I can't use it, I'm giving it to, I have 5 testers and they use it and they give me their feedback. So, I mean, I don't think I was as overwhelmed. I think what I've learned that I have to be very present, right? So if you're always planning, it's very hard to be very present. So I've had to strike a unique balance of like, you're formulating from the start for something way down the line, but you have to do it from the start because you can't just pivot. So I think being decisive has really helped me because I am very decisive and I make decisions and then I stick by them. I think that's an attribute that has really helped me a lot. But yeah, I mean, it's overwhelming. I think it's way more overwhelming to the consumer. I can see how they can come, like someone like you could walk into my practice and be like, how could she possibly recommend all this? The thing is, we're not recommending all of it. We have a lot of practitioners at my practice. We're all recommending different things for different people, for different skin types at different phases. So we have options. Sometimes we don't even carry the full line of something, but we carry a hero product. Mm-hmm. One of the things I found with a lot of these lines was a lot of times they would focus their R&D, their research and development on like 1 or 2 products. And then they would feel like, oh my God, I need a cleanser. Let's hurry up and make a cleanser, right? I never wanted Lenox and Sixteenth to be like that. Like every single product is a hero. And if it's not a hero, we're not going to launch it. So I think that was really important to me. But, you also need someone to take you through it. Like when you come into my practice, I take you through it. I'm like, Jen, this is what I think you should be on. And let's change it up accordingly.
Yep. That was what was so refreshing to me because I was looking at all these things. I'm like, I don't even want to pick one thing. Like, I don't want to shop. I don't want to go into, I hate going into Sephora. It overwhelms me. I want someone to tell me exactly what I should use.
Yeah.
And what I love about your practice is before I leave, it's Carlin or you, shout out to Carlin, she's absolutely amazing, is making me videos of, okay, you don't touch anything. This is what you're going to use. Me and Amy have decided for your skin specifically, what we're working on for you, not for everybody here. And I know that it's very specific to me. you're going to use this, and then you're going to use this, and then you're going to use this. And you don't need that. And then she's like, I'm like, what about that? That's pretty. Everyone says that I need that. You don't need that.
No.
You just need this. And I think that just made me feel like I had such an individualized moment with you guys. And that was something that made you stand out to me out of every other place I've ever been to.
Yeah, we've been known to tell people like I've told people you're not allowed to buy this, at least here, because you're going to go home. It's another product. You're going to feel bad about it. Like sometimes I'm like, go home, take pictures, send them to the office phone number, and I will build you a regimen of what you have at home, because I can just tell they're just like reaching and buying, and you just don't need all of this stuff. You just need the right stuff. And also, wouldn't you do that for your mom? Like it just goes down to that basic human like interaction you want to have with someone. Like if your end goal is to make money, I don't believe you'll be as successful. If your end goal is to treat people exceptional, to produce amazing skin, and to do the next right thing, I believe you will make a lot of money.
Woo! I mean, we could end right there. That was amazing.
It's the truth.
The Jen Gottlieb Show is sponsored by BetterHelp. It's sometimes hard to remind ourselves that we're trying our best to make sense of everything. And in this crazy world, that isn't always easy. I've been in therapy for years, and big shout out to Debbie, my therapist. She's helped me learn positive coping skills, how to set boundaries. She's empowered me to do the best that I possibly can in the scenarios that I'm in. She's helped me to recognize some of my past trauma and how it affects the decisions that I'm making today. And most importantly, she's just a great listener. If I don't want to share things with all of my friends and family members, or even on this show, I know that I have a safe space in my therapy sessions. I am a big believer in therapy, and that's why I'm a happy sponsor of BetterHelp. BetterHelp is entirely online. If you're thinking of starting therapy, you can give it a try because it's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. All you have to do is fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. So visit betterhelp.com/GenG today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/GenG, JENG, to get 10% off your first month. Give BetterHelp a try.
So everyone's at the edge of their seat, especially my ladies right now. Okay, you've talked about all of this skincare stuff. I'm having the same issues as Jen. I've got analysis paralysis. Everyone's scrolling TikTok and they see 85 million products that they have to have. The trendy ones, the influencers are using, whatever. I know we can't treat every individual that's listening to this because you're not looking at their skin. And I know that you're very like, everyone should come to Miami and go to Amy's practice and get treated by them. But for the everyday person, what are the non-negotiables that you think everyone should have in their medicine cabinet?
Yeah. So I've always believed that serums are the most important. Meaning, if you have, say your budget is $100, spend the majority of that on a really good serum. It's going to penetrate your skin the deepest. It's going to give most likely antioxidant protection. It's going to do, it's like the corrector. It's kind of the anti-ager. I always say you can go a little less expensive on the cleanser, or, you know, go get a drugstore sunscreen that's UVA, UVB, but kind of invest in that serum. I also say a tip, not that I do love a good eye cream, but a lot of times you can use those serums around your eyes as well. So you're kind of, it's a non-negotiable. Also vitamin C, like hands down non-negotiable for me. It helps so much with tone of the skin. And if you think about almost everyone that you will meet will have some type of pigmentation issue with their skin. And a lot of times you'll be using these anti-aging wrinkle serums, right? But people will be like, I don't notice the difference. I mean, you're measuring like tiny millimeters of difference. So sometimes you can't always see it, but you could always see when discoloration gets better. And I always feel like if we can give you something initially that helps brighten your skin, that helps with discoloration, you're gonna believe in it and you're gonna stay on board for the rest of it. So even when people come into me, I'm always like, let's get rid of your pigment first and then let's address everything else. Because when you're looking at someone who has truly like beautiful, healthy skin, you see a girl walking down the street, you're like, oh my God, like your skin is gorgeous. It's usually because they're reflecting light. They're not absorbing it. And a lot of times pigmentation and discoloration can cause you to absorb light. So you wanna invest in a vitamin C like non-negotiable to really help with tone of the skin.
So we've got a serum. Can that vitamin C be in the serum?
Yes.
Okay, so we can put those two together.
Yeah.
So a serum and SPF. And what did you say, like the type of SPF, does that matter? Because I see like mineral, there's different types. Does it matter?
If you have specific skin indications like melasma or rosacea or something, you might, you can get pretty specific on whether you want a physical or a chemical sunscreen. But all in all, for me, a UVA, something that protects against UVA and UVB, and that's an SPF 30. Now, there's plenty of people out there that are like, and I have them come into my office too, they're like, I'm using 100. You don't need to use 100. It actually breaks down a lot faster. The other thing about an SPF, you have to love it. You have to love it so much that you want to put it on every day. So it is worth the investment in buying 10 over the course of some time and being like, which one do I really love? Because you'll keep coming back for it and you'll use it. People do not use things that they don't love.
That is so true. I say that about exercise. Like I'm not even, when I was a trainer, it's like you have to just do what you love or you're not going to do it.
Right.
So you have to use the SPF that you love. So you got your vitamin C serum combined. Now, what about like retinol? People say like retinoin at night. Is that like a necessity? I've heard people say that that's 100% necessity.
Obviously, it's a vitamin A is a gold standard. There's different types of retinol out there. There's, you'll see retinol thrown around like very casually.
Yeah.
Are you using retinoic acid? What percentage are you using? Is it buffered? Is it encapsulated? Is it a prescription? Is it not? I feel like in 2024, we have some great retinol alternatives that people can use because the traditional, tretinoin or Tazorac or something sometimes causes a lot of irritation and inflammation in the skin. So people, it's crazy. People have this like feeling like no matter what, they're going to use the retinol. Like they just feel like they have to do it, but they're kind of in this state of inflammation all the time. So I believe it's specific. I love a retinol. I think getting one that, doesn't make your skin go crazy is really important. But I think there's a lot of great non-retinol alternatives that are out and that are coming out.
Give me an example of one. So if someone's like, I don't want to use retinol anymore, what should I grab?
There's enzyme cleansers. There's all these different things, but there's other ingredients that rapidly exfoliate the skin.
So it means basically for cell turnover.
For cell turnover.
Exfoliation. So
right.
You can choose other things other than retinol as long as you're exfoliating your skin.
As long as you're exfoliating your skin. So the key to anti-aging is exfoliation. So it's cell turnover. It's that new skin coming up. So what vitamin A does is it rapidly turns the skin over. So there's other ways to exfoliate the skin. There's other acids, there's lactic, there's mandelic, there's glycolic, there's other ways. You don't just have to use a retinol.
Okay, that's really, really important for me to know. Because sometimes I'm like, wait, do I have to use retinol or exfoliate? Well, you tell me what to do now so I don't have to question it. But I've always had that question in my mind, like exfoliating retinols at the same thing. But as long as I'm having cell turnover, it's working. Yeah,
and then there's also people who come in for regular treatments. So they're actually getting a lot more exfoliation because they may be doing a laser or they may be doing a peel or something like that. So they may be doing in-office treatments that they don't need to do massive exfoliation at home. Also, people over-exfoliate, just like they overuse retinol. So I think there's a balancing act. This notion that you're not doing the right thing unless you use a retinol needs to die, in my opinion, because it's just like you said, everyone's like, oh my God, I feel like I have to use a retinol. And then it's also like, how high of a percentage can I get to? And then I'm doing the right thing for anti-aging. I just think that that's a falsehood that needs to be smashed. I think there's other ingredients on the market. Lenox and Sixteenth will have one that can do a great job at, increasing your cell turnover and giving you a nice exfoliation.
So you're building a product that doesn't have a retinol in it, but increases cell turnover.
One of them is.
So you are building the answer to this problem. You're like, this needs to stop. So guess what? We're going to solve the problem with my product.
Yeah. It's like, I call it the grandma secret. It's like some grandma told another grandma something and then like the whole world knew it. It's like people don't even know where they get these things from. But it was like some derm a long time ago said that vitamin A is the only way. And not that it's not a great way. I'm not saying that. But retinol is not the only way.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's not the only way. There's so many ways. And that's why I think it's important, if you can, to see a professional to get this prescribed situation for your skin.
You want a custom tailored treatment to you. And you know what? Like, anything that you're buying should be willing to kind of guide you through that. I mean, if you're buying it from a practice, they really should be able to take you through it. And they also should be able to use or see what you're using at home. And they should be able to tell you the why behind why you shouldn't use it. Why should they just say, no, don't use this, use this? You know, I would say like, I don't think this is doing so much for your skin because of X, Y, and Z. This is why I think this is a better alternative. And maybe you don't need it right away, but when you're finished that, this is what I say a lot. When you finish that product, let's transition on to this one.
So good. Okay, so the non-negotiables, really the SPF, the vitamin C. We don't really need the retinol. Is there anything else that like everyone's listening, just like, what do I need to start? I'm not doing skincare. Is there anything that's a non-negotiable that I could go get right now that I need?
I mean, I think that you don't need a retinol, but you should have an exfoliator.
Okay.
And I definitely think that you do need a moisturizer. I think it's really important. I also think people that have acne are like so afraid of moisturizers. These people are terrified to use a moisturizer because they have a lot of oil in their skin, but what they don't realize is their skin is going to keep producing lots of oil until they moisturize it and say, okay, skin, stop producing so much oil. So a moisturizer is critical. Now, do you definitely need a day, a night, an evening, a makeup one? No. But finding a moisturizer that you really love, I think is a crucial step. A lot of times, you know, different products are coming out, like cream serums are coming out, things that are kind of all-in-one. We're busy. We don't want a lot of products. We want to get like everything we need. So sometimes you'll be able to find a great serum that kind of is moisturizing as well.
Get outside of your comfort zone and into your best life, one small step at a time.
I want to move on to one other topic that I think is a little controversial today, but it's like shifting. So fillers.
Okay.
I think it's fun because you opened my eyes at our consultation and we started to change what we're doing. And I actually had some filler dissolved as well. So you guys are really big on Renuva. And I'd love for you to explain that and explain before. So ladies, if you're thinking about going and getting fillers or you're scared to get fillers or maybe you've gotten fillers and you don't like them, I think it's important that we talk to Dr. Amy, who's the expert, about fillers and why you're not using them mid-face anymore. You're using something called Renuva.
Yeah, so we saw the writing on the wall with, so all fillers are not bad, right? It's always about who's doing them and the placement and choosing the right filler. We don't do a lot of filler in the mid-face at all. Actually, we don't do any because two things. It has a high rate of migration in that area and also because it's hydrophilic, so it draws in water. So I should say we never put filler underneath the eye and we never really put filler superficial. So that's where you're seeing a lot of these people that retain water and look puffy. Renuva came on the market it's been around for a while because it's been used in wound care and in body, but it's been used aesthetically for, over 4 years now, 5 years in the face. And we're trying to change the conversation from filler to fat. You were born with fat, and we want to give you back what you were born with. So what Renuva is, it's an injectable. It stimulates your own natural fat production. So what we like to say as an analogy is it's like injecting a honeycomb matrix. And then over the course of 12 to 16 weeks, you kind of collect fat in that area. It is not hydrophilic, so it doesn't draw in water and it doesn't move, and it looks very natural. So we do a lot of Renuva at my practice. And I think it's just, aesthetics. A lot of people started doing a lot of plug and play, like selling syringes. It always goes back to that sales thing. It's like you should not be selling syringes. Like the thought of selling anything in a syringe is terrible. Like it's about educating the patient on what they need. But it's really made people scared of anything volume related, right? So I have so many people come into my practice and they're like, I want to do something, but no fillers. And it's because they saw some crazy OK Magazine disaster or some person that looked really augmented and they didn't want to look like that. But the truth is, like, we still have volume loss as we age. We're losing about 3 to 5 cc's of fat a year. So you do need something to address volume. So Renuva, I think, is a great solution for that. I also think it's about placement. So there was this idea that bigger was always better, more was just better. And I don't think that's the truth. Even with myself, I just looked at my photos from 3 years ago to last night till today. And I feel like I'm aging backwards, but I feel like it's because of my maintenance and also the placement of my fillers. So a lot of my Renuva volume, I'm sorry, I didn't say fillers. Renuva is in my temples. It's in my preauricular. It's all hidden in the area to kind of address where my fat pad loss is. So at our practice, we believe the best injectable is undetectable. Like if someone compliments you on your filler or your volume, that's kind of an issue, I think. We want people we call it the green juice and Pilates effect. Like, oh my God, you must be drinking a lot of green juice and Pilates. Like that's great for us. So it's just, I think, especially Rochelle and I, she's the lead injector of my practice. We just saw the writing on the wall a couple of years ago. And we were like, people aren't going to want to keep doing this. We also see a lot of people that come in to dissolve their fillers because of placement. So I think filler can be good in the right areas, and that's HA-based fillers, but we prefer to do a lot of Renuva because we're replacing fat pads.
I did Renuva, very happy. Yes. And I dissolved with you guys. And why I dissolved with you specifically was because I felt so safe, because you guys have a machine that's an ultrasound.
Yes.
And you can look and you can see, so you're not just guessing.
You're not guessing
where the filler is.
Yeah. So that's just a safe practice that we do at our practice. Every time something new comes out that can make a treatment better, I'm always for it. You can ask the girls in my office. I always say, if something makes your job better and better for the client, we should invest in it. And these ultrasounds came on the market a couple years ago specifically to look for filler. A lot of people were blind. We call it blind dissolving. So kind of going where the bump was and trying to dissolve this way. Now we can actually see where it's at. We can actually see the needle go in and dissolve it. And it's better for the patient. You get a better outcome. You make sure you got all the filler. And people are really happy with it.
The theme that keeps running through my head as you talk is really the extra mile is never crowded. Really, like you go the extra mile in everything you do in your business, and that's why you've become successful. You don't cut corners. You don't do things because it's the trendy thing that'll make you a lot of money in the short term. You're building long-term success with your clients. I also see it with like even being experiencing your practice as a consumer, that it's long game.
It's long game.
It's long game. You're not just like trying to fix it in one shot. You're like, don't worry, we're going to get there. And this is the path and this is how we're going to get there. And it's like a constant long game thing. And I love the analogies right now to business. And I hope all the business owners that are listening right now are listening to everything that Amy's saying as far as like with the stuff that you purchase and invest in for your practice, so that your girls have better tools, so that your clients feel more taken care of, so that they know that when they come to your practice, they're getting state of the art, so that they know that when you recommend a product to them, you're not recommending it because you need to sell this many of this product. You're recommending it because you know it's right for them.
Absolutely.
Because if they get good results, they're going to come back to you.
Right.
And it's referral based too.
It is. And most people would look at that, and it's called the mind ray ultrasound. Most people would look at that and be like, why would you invest in that? You're not going to make a lot of money off of it. And that's true if you're looking at it like that. But we're looking at it as it's best patient practice, it's best patient safety. And if you have happy patients who believe it, that's longevity. They're going to come back to you because you're doing the right thing. It's the best way to practice. So if you look at it individually like that, like, yes, on paper, on your P&L, initially, it may not make sense. But when you look at it over time, you're like, wow, look at all these people that trust us because of what we're doing and what we have, to do our job better, the tools that we have. It's really important. And by the way, I remember cutting corners in life when I was younger, and it never worked out for me. Like I would always get caught. I just could never get away with anything. So I just made a decision a long time ago that it's just, if I have to walk all the way around the block, then I got to walk all the way around the block. I'm not going to cut corners because it just never yields great results for anything. Not for clients, not for me, not for my family. It's always about the long game, and that's what you have to think of.
So good. Okay, I'm going to ask you something that I know that everyone that's watching on YouTube right now is wondering, and if you can just let me know too. I'm kind of curious too, just for the end. I want to know your skincare regimen. So this isn't for everybody, but I want to know what you do. Amy, the expert on this, like you wake up in the morning, what do you do? And then you go to bed at night, and what do you do?
Okay, so in the morning, I'm also one of those people that, I'll be totally honest here, I can use anything. Like people hate me. I can use anything on my skin. Nothing will really happen. I don't have acne prone skin. So I'm a great tester.
Okay.
But right now I'm using my skincare line. I've been using it for a while, but I'm just, cleanser, serums. I do use an eye cream, moisturizer, and SPF. And then in the evenings, like sometimes I will do a mask. Sometimes I won't, but I'm super busy. I don't really do a lot of at-home devices. I just don't have time to put gel on my face and do the whole thing.
Either.
Like I'm just not going to do it. The Lima is one that I do a lot. People see me doing it because it's easy and I don't have to look at myself and I can just.
You don't need gel for that one, right?
No. And I put on like a serum and then I just do it. So it's like mindless. More importantly, I think is my at-home routine changes, but I am solid on my at-home routine. Like I don't miss a night. Like it's just, and I've always been that way. And sunblock is crucial and I don't go out in the sun. I'm probably the whitest person in Miami because I don't go out in the sun. But I think, my maintenance like in the office is actually probably what people really kind of want to know. Like how much does she do? Because if I was looking at me, and I know people think this, like I'm just doing things all the time to myself. That's not true. I separate the skin into the mattress and the sheets and I treat my mattress once a year with like soft wave or something like that. I do a little Renuva touch-ups here and there whenever I see that like Ro and I see like a fat pad is shifting. The only thing I do quite a bit of is probably Silifirm or a radiofrequency microneedling. I think it's incredible. And then like twice a year, I'll do like Clear and Brilliance and then Botox. So it seems like a lot, but it's not because you're really dealing with 4 things in skin. You're dealing with laxity, you're dealing with muscle, you're dealing with volume, and you're dealing with texture tone. So all in all, I did my budget. Like I wanted to see how much I would spend if I was a client of mine. And it was around, I think last year it was $7,500 throughout the year. So if I did away with my coffees and going out to eat, I was like, okay, I could do this.
Amy, you're amazing. Honestly, like this was not just about skin. This was about business. This was about perseverance. This was about not cutting corners. This was about dedication to your work and what you believe in and getting to the core of the reason why people are doing things. And I always love the reminder that like, listen, and you guys, I want you to really hear what Amy was saying is there's so many ways to do this. There's so many ways to have beautiful, clear skin. There's so many ways to build a business, but you have to do it in a way that you love, that feels good for you, and that really helps solve the problem that your customers and the people that are coming to you have. And you do that so well. I'm so grateful to know you.
Thank you.
By the way, I have her product that she's creating. I have the like first iteration. So we're going to have to do a part 2 of the show after I've used it when it's come out, when people can buy it.
It's called a lab sample. So you have the lab samples, which is amazing.
I have lab samples. So I'm going to start using it. She just gave it to me. So we're going to talk about how I'm going to use it every night, every day. And you guys are going to slowly see my skin transform. And then we'll have you on when it officially comes out.
Yeah, I would love that.
I would love that. But thank you so much for being on. I'm such a fan.
Thank you. I'm such a fan and I adore you.
Adore you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching The Jen Gottlieb Show. See you next time.